Hello everybody and welcome back. Good to talk to all of you again today, and today I've got a replay for all of you from Kingpin61, who is playing Tier 10 American Battleship Montana on the Shatter map. And, well, I'm just gonna kind of run you guys through the battle, and of course comment on a few things here and there. And one of the first things that I do want to comment about, and this is something that I think is useful for a lot of Battleship players, is at the start of a game, don't go and spam the W key, go to max speed, and charge forward. One of the worst things you can do, and the reason why it's not a good thing, is because you've charged forward too much, and all of a sudden you realize, oh man, I gotta go somewhere else. It's hard to get a battleship turned around, right? These are ships that require space and time to get turned around. So one of the first things that you can do as a battleship player is go at about half speed. Take a look at where the enemy is going, take a look at where enemy ships are heading, and what sort of the distribution of forces is going to look like. And once you sort of have a better picture, then you can start to decide, are you going to continue here, or are you going to turn and head somewhere else? In this case, as you can tell, for Kingpin, he looks at the map and he sees that on this side, there's just not that many enemy ships. A large percentage of the enemy ships is on the other flank. So as you can tell, the minute he sees that, he's already starting to head in the other direction. As for the enemy team, they have two Friedrich the Grosses on this flank. There's also a Hindenburg. There's also a destroyer. They don't have as many ships on this side. However, two big battleships, a tier 10 cruiser, it's not a bad force, shall we say. And actually there's actually an additional gearing here as well. So actually relatively even, and in terms of a fight, should be relatively a fair fight, as long as not major mistakes are made by this enemy team. But of course, if you look at the mini-map, you're already starting to see that a mistake is being made. The Hindenburg, for some reason, has decided that he's gonna go and push through and come charging out against a Montana that's got all of its guns already pointed in this direction. And oh man, that is just asking for it. This Hindi comes out, eats two citadels, 35,000, and basically doesn't do anything before the Neptune just obliterates him. Yeah, not really sure what that Hindenburg is doing. I mean, honestly, if you had a Hindenburg that was a little bit closer to the Friedrich on that flank there, that Hindenburg can put down quite a bit of fire and can cause quite a bit of pain. These two enemy Friedrich the Grosses also, I don't know why, they constantly like to present broadside to Kingpin. And I'm not sure if it's because they were just simply unaware of their positioning or just not mindful of it, but they gave a little bit too much. And Kingpin just punishes them repeatedly in the next little while. And you'll see this as right now they've gone back into being angled, and you should be like, okay, if you're angled, then kind of stay angled, right? The eye was not really a threat. I was hiding behind an island. Don't show broadside. And yet there the Friedrich the Gross does it again. Shows broadside and eats another 23,000 damage salvo. Speaking of which, at this early stage of the game, that's already 100,000 damage done, right? And for those people out there who do wonder, like, how do people get these really crazy damage games, 200 plus thousand, 300 plus thousand? Well, part of that is that the enemy team really does have to be very, very cooperative. And at the same time, your own team can't be very good. Your own team has to sort of lose ships at roughly the same rate as the enemy team. The enemy team really has to offer you a lot of those easy opportunities to do damage, which in this case, the enemy two Friedrich the Grosses, they just constantly give broadsides. Now, Kingpin here goes towards the B cap. This is generally not a cap I would go to without smaller ship support if I was in a battleship. It is just too much of a closed space that if a destroyer were to come out, there's not a very good day to be had if you're a battleship player. And so this I think is a little bit on the risky side for Kingpin, and I'm not 100% sure why he decides to come into B. But then again, like I said, the enemy team does have to, well, let's just say potato a little bit. And there's a gearing. That gearing has basically the ability to just come in right now, rush in, and torpedo Kingpin. Instant free kill. Instead, I have no idea what he does. Kingpin gets off a very, very good shot against the enemy Minotaur, who is... Yeah, no. Minotaur, don't do that. Do not do that, because you are going to get wrecked. But, yeah, I don't understand why that gearing just didn't bum rush Kingpin. I mean, Kingpin's in a very, very bad position. He's in a position where, at the time, his guns were pointing off completely in the other direction. That would have been an ideal time for that gearing to just rush in, get torpedoes off. And that's a major enemy ship that you've taken out. And instead, I don't know, look at the gearing. I'm not really sure. He decided to go around the island. Yeah, I'm still not really sure what that gearing was thinking during that period of time. And, of course... enemy Friedrich the Grosser comes back out again, offers another free broadside. Oh my god. Like, see, the enemy team really has to be cooperative. But of course, Kingpin punishes that battleship again, gets another 23,000 damage salvo. You'd figure at this point in time, if you were the Friedrich, you would be like, holy crap, there is somebody that's shooting me with 12 16-inch guns into my flat broadside. I should do something about it, right? Nope. Nope. Goes forward, eats another full broadside salvo. I mean, we're at 181,000 damage already. And finally, the gearing finally decided to launch torpedoes, but... fires only one salvo. It's okay. It's okay. That gearing's played by a 4-year-old. I am not going to say anything more. Anyways, going back to that Friedrich the Grosser earlier. Yes, there was threat from the Iowa as well, but what the Friedrich could have done was really just turn the ship into the Iowa. Instead of continuing to offer sort of that quasi-broadside to an Iowa and a complete broadside to a Montana, if he just turned and pointed his bow at the Iowa, he would have been able to mitigate most of the Iowa's damage, while being able to reduce damage from Kingpin's Montana. Beautiful salvo. This one was a good shot. That was a very, very nice salvo for a Citadel and 30,000 damage. And that was nice shooting. Enemy Tago right now should be freaking out. There's a battleship on your side. Freak out, freak out, freak out more. Start turning away maybe more aggressively. Kind of gets away with it. 12,000 damage. Not like... instantaneously got nuked, so that's okay. It's acceptable, I would say. Alright, well, Kingpin manages to get out of that not-so-great position, mostly because of that gearing, but he's able to get through it, which is okay. And now he's on the other side engaging enemy battleships, and potentially the Otago again if the Otago decides to show himself. And we're also at 224,000 damage already. Now, speaking of high damage games, and this is something I guess I should point out, right? The mark of a good player is not the one-off game where they score 200, 300, 400,000 damage games. The mark of a really good player, sure, yes, you know, they have to be fundamentally sound in a lot of things in order to get that high damage amount, but the indication of a really good player is actually consistent performance all the time. So if you look at the players who do very, very well, and you look at the performance of their ships, typically their averages over a good chunk of time tends to be quite good. Their average damage, the average win rate, you know, that kind of stuff, over a long period of time, consistent, right? So for example, one of the examples, and I'm going to use myself here as an example, I don't always play the flashiest games. So there's certain ships I play that I don't always get like the massively crazy high damage games, but I do get very, very consistent damage games. Oh, that is just asking for it. Not that that other battleship could do much, considering that he was being closed down by 2 other battleships plus Kingpin's Montana, but that is a paddlin right there. That's 2 citadels. I mean, we're at 271,000 damage. So crazy, crazy numbers there. Anyways, Kingpin, I guess he's gotten all the damage here he really can, so decides to turn back around and head the other way because there is still 2 big battleships on the other side of the map. So turns around, heads back. I guess he's going to go through the B cap again. But then, of course, there's no threat anymore. There's no enemy destroyers left. There's nothing that can really ruin his day. So anyways, going back to what I was talking about. So, you know, if you're a player who is very, very consistent, right, you're able to do a good amount of damage, make the right decisions game after game after game, then you are a good player. You know, recently I've had people ask me questions like, well, you know, like, I get sufficient damage, but I don't win much, or I do this and I don't do that well. Like, what's going on? And a lot of times it's like, yeah, you know, it's like you can do damage, but are you in the right positions? You know, if you get a bunch of damage, but you're in the wrong place, then is that damage really as valuable as doing the right damage at the right places? Questions to think about if you're ever wondering, like, I seem to be doing enough damage every game, and yet somehow I'm not winning enough or whatnot. Look at these other factors. Maybe it's your positioning, maybe it's your decision making for reacting to what the enemy is doing, or maybe even planning an attack somewhere to cause the enemy to react. All things to think about. Anyhow, enemy Amagi coming into the B cap as well. Yeah, not really sure why this Amagi is just charging out over here. I mean, I might have considered to... I think if I was the Amagi player right now, I would probably decide to maybe like hold position a little bit. Although not really, it's not really a good decision either way, considering there are 2 enemy destroyers like really, really close to him. I mean, anywhere he goes, I think he's going to be in trouble there. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe... I think maybe I would have aimed my guns to where the destroyers were, and then try to charge in and ram Kingpin, and have my guns shoot at destroyers if they decide to come in. So if the destroyers came rushing in with, let's say, you know, like they expose themselves right there, you know, I'd be able to get off a salvo, maybe potentially nuke a destroyer in the process while executing a ram. Possible, but not really, right? There's just a lot of things weren't really in his favor there. That poor Amagi. Yeah, just in a bad position overall. And of course, finally, that Friedrich the Grosse again. And I say nothing. I say nothing. And there you go. Last 18,000 damage. Final damage total 308,000 damage. What a game. What a game. That is a very, very nice damage total. And of course, they're going to cap out for the win. The enemy cruiser is going to get away. So, final results screen. Let's take a look here. Wow. For tier 10 ship, 722,737 credits, 8,988 experience, 450 free experience. Confederate high caliber dreadnought, 308,000 damage, 7 citadel hits, almost 3,000 experience, 2,996. That is a phenomenal amount of base experience. I mean, wow. That is a crazy amount, especially for having, like, you know, not having a lot of airplane kills, because, you know, normally air kills that can contribute a lot to experience, but yeah, this is just raw damage there. Crazy amount of damage there. Look at that, mostly AP, just nuts. Potential damage 1.338 million, then final net credit profit 434,737. Well, Kingpin, that was one hell of a game. Thank you for sending that in. For everybody else, hope you enjoyed this battle. Aside from all that, take care, have yourselves a good one, and I'll talk to all of you again next time.